let's get to that Ravens-Steelers game. Thoughts on Lamar Jackson moving forward? Because I think this game said a lot about not only what the Ravens think of Lamar Jackson, but where Lamar Jackson is at in terms of his development.
Oh boy. I mean, we may have been correct about him this whole time.
Yeah, you and Shane, I think, were 1,000% correct on him.
I mean, the announcers hit it on the head. They were like, "Oh, his passing." Well, and I was listening to, who was I listening to? I was listening to the radio broadcast of the Steelers Ravens game, driving home from somewhere today, and they talked about how like the trust level is just not there with Lamar right now.
Yeah.
In terms of his like passing, like they're in there, and they actually made a really interesting, smart point that I hadn't really thought about when they were saying there's something missing in the offense, which I agree with, and they said they don't have that one big piece in terms of like a wide receiver to work with, and I thought, I mean that's fair, but at the same time, I feel like that would only give him a crutch to like hide his weaknesses.
And see, that's even an unfair argument because I've always made the argument that Marquise Hollywood Brown's a wide receiver one and is their top receiver, and he's not having good days because for some reason Lamar's only really trusting in Willie Snead.
Yeah.
Because he's down the middle of the field. It's not even a fair criticism because you have Hollywood Brown there.
And I think it's also because Willie Snead's more of a veteran.
Yeah.
And also I think, like you say that, and like it's an interesting point there. You say that Hollywood Brown could be like your standout guy.
He is.
Which he should be with any other quarterback. He would be a standout guy. I mean, with Russell, with Big Ben, with Aaron Rodgers, with anyone, any quarterback, it's like a quarterback is what makes a wide receiver who they are.
Mm-hmm.
DK is made. I mean,
by Russell.
Yes, he's an amazing athletic freak of nature who can make all these great catches. But the fact is, you have to have a quarterback who could put the ball there for you to make the catch.
And historically, Russell with guys in the second round, even Tyler Lockett was a pretty low pick considering his value now. Russell is one of those guys that quintessentially makes wide receivers better than their draft slot. No, you guys were right about Lamar. I'm done with it. The reality is it was funny, the play calling. The first 3 quarters of the game, the play calling was, okay, let's keep this thing about Lamar passing. And then the fourth quarter, especially 5 minutes left in the game, they just went back to the running game, and it was actually amazing. Like that's what's so frustrating. It's like, okay, you want him to throw because, as you guys have mentioned in the past, I'm not sure about the whole injury thing, but it's definitely on their minds, right? It's definitely on Harbaugh and this staff's minds of like, if we're going to pay this guy, and we talked about this on the show, or I mentioned this on the show on Friday, if we're going to pay him Deshaun Watson money, he's got to stay healthy for 10, 15 years. So we got to get him to throw. The problem is, every time I watch Lamar run or them do a read option like they did most of that fourth quarter, it's just perfect. But the problem is the longevity of that long term is not there. And it's never going to be there. And when you're talking about teams like the Steelers, and we even talked about this with the Chiefs game, that first quarter, like these big games with Lamar, it's seriously becoming more and more of an issue because this was a game, it was a 10 o'clock game, but let's be honest, this was the most important game of the week by a long shot, by a mile, and he did not play well at all, especially in that first quarter, but really for the first 3.
Yeah, it honestly, it feels a little bit like the 2013, not 2013, it feels a little bit like the 2015 Seahawks. Like Russell Wilson just basically being told like just
hand the ball.
It's basically like literally it's basically just like it's like run, it's like pass, run, pass, run, pass, run.
But
It's
the difference is they're telling him to pass.
right. That's
Fourth
true.
quarter when they're behind by 4, run, and let's just
Yeah.
do the offense that actually works. The problem is it's
And
not going to last
yeah,
long.
and it's interesting because like at the time I was like, you know why this isn't working? Because they don't have they don't have dynamic wide receivers.
That's
And
not
if you
true.
look, well, we did the Seahawks did not have dynamic wide receivers. I'm sorry, like we just did not in 2015. We had we have not had a real dynamic set of top tier wide receivers until this year. That is my argument. Like this is the best offensive team I've seen the Seahawks have.
Yeah.
In my entire career.
Before we get to the
yeah.
Seahawks, let's finish up on this with the Ravens. I continuously make this argument. The Ravens have receiving talent.
Oh yeah,
It's just
no,
untapped.
yes, they do.
Like Hollywood Brown. Let's not even forget Mark Andrews. Where has he been the last couple weeks? That's usually Lamar's safety blanket. He's nowhere to be found, and I don't understand why. That guy's a top 3 tight end. It's just.
Well, your quarterback kind of has to be able to hit you for you to be able to score.
Yeah,
like,
it's.
And it's bizarre because it's like they must have known about his passing shortcomings when they drafted him.
Well, then he went 31st. He went 31st for a reason.
Yeah, but do you think they just drafted him because they were like over the moon with his speed?
I don't know because and this is I'm even close to saying that I think he's regressed in the passing game because even like in his MVP year, I was like, okay, this guy has passing potential. Like it's there. Like there were games where he threw the ball well. When I look back, like Lamar was one of my favorite quarterbacks ever coming out because of the running ability, but also at Louisville, I thought he did throw the ball well. I wonder again. I really feel like I don't even wonder this. I feel like this is true. I think that Lamar, they are just trying to make him to throw the ball because they realize that this is unsustainable long term. So they're making him throw the ball. They're pressuring him to throw the ball because they saw potential in him throwing the ball. This is something that, again, I said last year. There was potential there, but I'm at a point where I'm starting to think it's actually regressed because they're trying it so much. But they need to, again, for them to have him for 15 years.
Yeah, I think I would argue that they need to find a balance.
They need to find a balance ultimately, but if he can't throw 30 times, like there's going to be games where you're down by 20. There's going to be games like this one against the Steelers where you're down by a good amount and you're going to have to throw. There's no such thing as a balance.
He honestly could probably benefit from talking to Russell in the offseason.
Yeah.
Just
or Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, anyone could benefit from talking to Russell. I swear that guy could end up being. When he retires, I swear that guy could start his own like quarterback psychology camp. Just because the man is never out of it.
It's crazy.
He's even if he's losing by 20 going into the fourth, he's like, you know what? We're not. At least it's not over.
Right. The psychology of Lamar too.
Yeah.